Hi everyone! So in celebration of our September Masters of Disguise box, I wanted to bring you some book recommendations. Now these books feature characters who kind of go undercover or go in disguise in various ways in their life, so let's get into it. So first up I have one of my all-time favorite books, and that is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. So this book takes place in a world that is completely overpowered by this figure called the Lord Ruler, and he has been in power for 1,000 years. Specifically, this book takes place in a city called Luthadel, which is overrun by ash and mist, and unless you are a nobleman, is really not a good place to live. So this book features a completely awesome cast of characters that I absolutely adore, and one of those is a little street urchin named Vin, and she discovers that she is something called a Mistborn, which means that she has powers over different types of metals. Being a Mistborn in this world is very rare. You often only have control over one or two types of metal, but Mistborns can control them all. This group of characters decides that they want to overthrow the Lord Ruler as they've had enough, and Vin is tasked with infiltrating the nobility, and that is how she goes in disguise. So this is definitely a super popular adult high fantasy trilogy, and with good reason. I absolutely love it. I know tons of other people do as well, and I also think it is a good jumping in point if you're new to adult high fantasy. Next up I have The Glass Spare by DeStefano. This is a book that was included in OwlCrate last year, and I absolutely loved it. So in this book we follow a girl named Will, who is the fourth child of a very influential king, and at the beginning of the story she discovers that she has the power to turn people to gemstones with her touch. After a kind of tragic accident, she is banished from the kingdom, and she goes on this journey to try to find somebody who can cure her from this curse. Now in order to go on this journey, she hides her identity from everyone around her, as obviously she is a princess and she does not want that getting out there. It's really fast-paced. I loved the characters. The sequel is coming out very soon and I'm super excited for it. Now on a completely different note, I wanted to pick one that was more of a modern day disguise, and I picked My Not So Perfect Life by Sophie Kinsella. And this is a chick lit novel, adult chick lit novel, set in the UK about a girl named Katie who has this apparently perfect life on this massive Instagram page. Through this Instagram, she shows off, like, she looks like she lives this opulent, really cool, trendy lifestyle. But really, she has a not very good job, it doesn't make a lot of money, has a really crappy apartment, you know, can't afford to go out and buy the food that people think she is eating on her Instagram. And that has backfired. Katie gets fired from her job, and she ends up going to Somerset to help her parents set up a glamping business. Unfortunately, once this glamping campsite is up and running, her kind of uppity socialite former boss, who has recently fired her, comes to stay, and Katie has to deal with the lies she has told to the world, basically. It is a pretty fun, really quick read. It's very light and very fluffy, and this is kind of what I would say a modern day disguise, is how people kind of hide who they are on social media. Next up I have a YA historical fiction book, and that is Under a Painted Sky by Stacey Lee. Now in this book we follow a Chinese American girl named Samantha, and this is during the gold rush. At the beginning of the novel, a tragic accident occurs and she is forced to go on the run. She is joined by a former slave named Anna May, and they disguise themselves as boys in order to kind of escape detection, as being a girl during this time is very obvious. They head out on the Oregon Trail and end up meeting up with a band of cowboys that they think are going to be enemies but end up becoming allies. And it is just a really fun story about life on the Oregon Trail, friendship, found family, and music. It's really, really good, and I encourage you to pick it up. And the final book I want to recommend is one I think that is underrated, and that is Ink and Bone by Caine. Now this book has a really cool concept. It takes place in a world where the Library of Alexandria was never destroyed. Now that might sound like a good thing, but in this world, the Great Library now kind of rules all knowledge, and owning books personally is illegal. There is this big black market for books, and our main character named Jess Brightwell is a book runner, so he belongs to one of these families that transports black market books, and he is sent to train at the Great Library in order to be a spy for his family. He obviously has to keep his family's identity a secret, and that is how he goes under disguise in this novel, but I love this world. I've only read the first 2 books, and I believe there are 4 out now, but it's such a cool concept. It has a really great cast of characters, and it's definitely like this fantasy dystopian twist that I absolutely love. Alright, so that was just a few of the books that I really love that kind of feature characters that in some way have to hide their identity. Now, do you have any books like this that you love? Because I'm always looking for more. It is a trope I seriously enjoy, so leave those recommendations down in the comments for me. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more. Happy reading, and thanks for being awesome. Bye!